Everyone, welcome back. My name is Vani Kabani and I'm a lecturer at Diploma Information Technology, ASO. In the previous lecture, we saw what is procedural oriented programming, object oriented programming, their differences, principles of the object oriented programming, basic structure of C++, keywords, libraries, variables. Okay, I hope you have went through that slide first, went through that lectures first. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask in that comment part. Okay, if you are very clear with this, let's start with today's lecture. Okay, so let's start. Topics that we will cover today will be class and objects, access modifiers, array of objects, functions, parameters and arguments. So let's see what are these topics in detail. To discuss about class and the objects. Okay, as you know that in the object oriented programming, we have to create objects, like our whole programming system is dependent on the objects. Okay, so I have to create object on the real world objects, like the real world whatever we have the examples. Okay, so if I create many objects, will be confused like which object belong to the which part. Okay, so for that what we will do, first of all we will create the class. Okay, what will be the class? It will be the, like we can say, the group of the similar type of objects which have the same properties, maybe the same parameters, same functions. Okay, and of that particular class I can create the multiple instances. Okay, that multiple instances is known as the objects. Okay, so if I want to create, like suppose if I'm talking about the vehicle, which vehicle I'm talking about, I will be confused. Okay, like if I'm, whether I'm talking about the two-wheeler, whether I'm talking about the like bike we can say, or I can say the car, or maybe the truck. So for that I will particularly create a car class. Okay, and there I can define the multiple objects of it, like it can be the Maruti, it can be the Audi, it can be the BMW, as you can see. Similarly, I can create one more class that is belonging to the two-wheeler. Here I can define that the Activa or the bike. Okay, so that will be the less confusing rather than just creating objects and no organizing of that particular thing. Okay, so the class is the organized collection of the objects. Okay, so whenever the class is created, no data is allocated to that. Okay, or no, we can't access any data of particular class. Okay, for that I have to create the object. Okay, I have to create the object of that thing first, then only I can access the data of that particular class. Okay, as you can see, like if it is a car class, okay, I will create one object that is Maruti. Okay, so I can define like the color of this thing is red. Okay, the brand name here it is Maruti. Similarly for the Audi and the BMW, but it will have some similar properties also, like it's a four-wheeler. Okay, and many more properties we can define, which is the same of all the objects. Okay, yeah, let's see further. So class and objects. As you can see, here is the definition of the class. Class is a user-defined data type that contains its own data members and the member functions. Okay, the class will have its own like functions and it will have the own members. Okay, as we discussed, class is used to organize the information or the data, so the programmer can reuse the elements in multiple instances. Like if I need many objects of the car, I don't have to create a class again and again. Okay, one class is already created. I can create the multiple instances, multiple objects of that particular class. Okay, see, you can see that an object is an instance of class by which we can access the data members and the member functions of the class. I can't use the data of the class to access that particular thing. I need to create object first to access the data. Okay, and that particular object will have the unique property, like the object one will have, like as we discussed, some Maruti and it's a red in color. Okay, so the object in oops is a component which consists of the properties to make a particular data useful. Okay, we can't use the directly class to access the data. So what will be the thing? An object will be created. Okay, and that object is used to consist the properties, and it is a data we can use in our programming. Okay, so an object is used to make the data useful. Okay, let's see further. Okay, now let's see how to define a class in C++. As you can see, first I have to write the keyword class. Okay, Then the class name, whatever I want to give, suppose it's a car, so I will write it down over here as class and then car. Okay, that's the name. Okay, then I have to give the bracket, then the access specifier. What is access specifier? Like it can be the private, public or protected. We are going to learn this thing in today's lecture itself. Okay, then the data members, variables to be used. Okay, in the last lecture we saw like how to declare the variables. So suppose I want to declare a variable that is integer, okay, and x, that will be the thing. Okay, here we can say that character and then color, we can see like that, like what will be the color of this. Then functions, like it can be any functions we want to do, like write the properties or something like that. Okay, so that will be defining of the class. As you can see in the definition also, class is defined in C++ using the keyword class. Okay, then the followed by the name of the class. The body of the class is defined inside the curly brackets and terminated by a semicolon. This is must. Okay, terminated by a semicolon at the end. Okay, so this is how we have to define the class. Okay, see how to define the objects. As I said, that if I want to access the data, I can't access it with the help of class. For that, I have to create the instance of class, and that is known as objects. Okay, so when the class is defined, only the specification for the object is defined. No memory or storage is allocated. Okay, no memory is blocked until and unless any object is created of that particular class. If you're defining a class, there is no blockage of memory. Okay, so to use the data and access functions, as we discussed, define in the class, you need to create objects. Now, how to define the class, or how to create, oh sorry, how to define an object or how to create an object, that is the class name and the object name. Suppose my, if we discuss about the same example we are talking about, that is the car. So I created a class car, so I will write down car. And here I will write down the object name. Say I am writing down car Maruti. Okay, so my Maruti will be the object of the class car. Okay, clear? So that will be the thing. Okay, so the class name and the object name. Then what will be the object consist of? Object will consist of name. That will be the name of the variable. Member data that describes the object. Member functions related to the objects. Okay, that also describes the behavior. Okay, the data members and the member function of the class can be accessed using the dot operator. Suppose if I want to obtain the color of this, I want to write down. So I can write down it as Maruti dot color is equal to red. Okay, so what it will be giving, it will create that the object having name Maruti, its property which is color, and that value is equal to red. Okay, and this is how I can access also using the dot operator. I can give the value also. So dot is connector between the object and its property, an object or its function. Okay, let's see further. Modifiers. Now, access modifiers, as the name suggests, they are used to change the accessibility of the properties and the method in a class. Okay, so there are three types of access modifiers: private, protected, and public. So what are access modifiers? Suppose I have created an class, okay, and there are few properties. Let's say if we talk about the same thing, okay, color it was, okay, then the another one say speed, okay, okay, and suppose I want to fix one property, okay, that will I will make it private. So I can write down that particular property as say it's a wheeler, okay, wheels, number of wheels. So I know the number of wheels is equal to 4 for all the objects. So can I keep it as private? Okay, like nobody is going to access it or something like that. Okay, that will be the fixed value for this, or some value which I don't want that is accessed by the thing. I don't want to say something about that particular class to the user, that I can make it as private. Okay, protected mean Another class can, the parent, if the parent class is there, the child class can access it, or the friend class can access it. Okay, what are child and friend? We will see in the next lecture. It can say like it's a part of inheritance. Public means anybody can access that particular member or the function. Okay, so that are the access modifiers. Now let's see what is like who can access the private, protected, and public classes. Okay, let's see. Here is a chart like who can access the modifiers of particular type. So the access modifier private, okay, it's accessed global. No, it's not global. Derived class, no, not also the derived class, means the child class. I can say friend class, yes, it can access the friend class. Within the class, of course, within the class it should be like where it is created, that is the within class. Friend class we will discuss further, okay, and the derived class and the global. So as I can see, private is not accessed by any other classes, not accessed by even the derived class, but it's accessed by the friend class and within class. Then the public, as you can see, it is accessed by anywhere, like any class. So it's a globally accessed. It's a derived class can access, friend class can access, and within class also, of course. Protected means globally it's not accessed, but the derived class it can access, that is a child class. The friend class can access, and within class also it is access. Okay, so these are the three main private, private, public, and protected modifiers. So by default it is the protected one. Okay, the by default, if you are not defining the access modifier of some object, some member, okay, or some function or some property, then it is protected by default. Okay, let's see the further topic. Topic is array of object. We have seen what is an array. Array is a collection of variable of same data types. Okay. Similarly, array of class object means a collection of objects of same types. Okay. Array of class object means, suppose if one class is there and I want to create like suppose 50 objects of that particular object of that particular class, I'm not going to create it one by one, obviously. I have to create an array of object to create that, and I can handle that as a particular one thing. If I want to access, like if I want to give the properties, like a particular property, I will give the same value for all. I will give the same function to all. So the object who have the same data type, who is belonging to the same class and who's having the same properties, can be collected once and can be known as the array of an object. Okay, so the array having class type element is known as the array of objects. So this is the syntax: class name, object name, and the size. Okay, class name means suppose whatever I can, we are going in the one example only, car, and say object name is I want to create the BMW car, okay, and I want that objects as the size 30. Okay, so I will create like this. Okay, car, BMW, and 30. That means 30 objects of the BMW car will be created. Okay, let's see how to declare this thing in the next slide. As you can see that this is the array of objects. This is the object name, the variable that references the array. Okay, that means whatever the array name is there, as we have given the BMW. So let's see, it's a BMW. Okay, and this was first object. My first object, my second object, my third object, my fourth object, and so on. Okay, it will have some more properties, like it will have the color, it will have the speed, okay, and that is stored in my variable one. Similarly, it will also have color, it will also have speed, and that is also stored in here. Okay, so this is my only one variable where I can access all the objects, their properties also all together in this one block. Okay, so that is the use of array of object. If many objects are there of the same type, same properties, same function, I can collect them all and I can create it and I can process it once at a time. Okay, so that is the use of array of objects. Clear? Next topic is function. We have discussed thing, like we have known this thing, what is function. Function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. Okay, if I want to create a function, okay, I have created but I have not called it, that is not going to be run. Okay, so when will the function run? Only when if I call it in a main function. Okay, you can pass data known as parameters into a function. We know, like if I am if I want to call a function, if that particular function needs some arguments, I can pass it as in parameters. Okay, functions are used to perform certain actions and they are important for using the code to find the code once and use it many times. So why we create a function? Just to do this thing. The code reusability, as we have seen that that is the one of a feature of our OOPS concept, that is the code reusability. Okay, that is the code reusability. Okay, so that is achieved by function. Yeah. Yes, so that is achieved by a function. Clear? That is function, it's created once and it is used many times. Okay, function consists of two parts: declaration, okay, the return type, the name of the function, and the parameters. That is the syntax of a function. How to declare the function? First, I have to write out the return type, what the function will return, then the name of the function and the parameter. If I want to pass it any, there will be some function where I don't need the parameters, right? Then the definition, the body of the function. That means what I have to execute in that particular function. Okay, so what is the main purpose of the function? That is the code reusability. Suppose if I want to add two numbers, I'm not going to write down like this plus this plus this. I will create a function of just addition. I will pass the parameters, okay, the two numbers only, and it will give me the result. Okay, that is a simple function we can create. We can create of anything I want, like the maybe finding out the factorial, maybe finding out the multiplication, and so on. Let's see one example on the functions. How to declare a function or how to create a function. Okay, let's see. So this is an example of a function. How to create a function? As I told you, first I have to write down the return type. Okay, then the name of my function, that is my function, then the bracket and the curly braces. Cout, okay, so what is the cout? It is similar to giving the output. Okay, that is known as the printf in the C language. You must have seen this thing, the printf part. Okay, then it is called. So that is how my function is created. Now, as I told you, if I'm not calling a function, it is not going to be executed. Okay, so the integer main, my main function of C++. Okay, here I have called the function, my function, how to call a function name, and the semicolon at the end, and then the return 0 because it's an integer over here. Okay, as you can see, the return type of my function is void, nothing it is going to be written, and there are no parameters passed over here. Okay, so what will be the output of this? Integer main will be called. Over here I can see my function is called, so it will go to the my function and see what is written inside the body. It is just printf. I just got executed. Okay, so it will just show me that I just got executed. Okay, so that is a simple function we can create. Cout is nothing, just like the printf. Okay, and we have the another part, that is the cin, and we have to write out like this. That is similar as scanf. Okay, we will learn how to do this thing when we will practice more on the functions or more on the programs of C++. Okay, parameters and arguments in functions. So what will be the difference of parameters and arguments? Let's see. Information can be passed to function as a parameter. Parameter acts as a variable inside the function. Now, as we have seen, like if I want to define a function, here I will write down the function name. Suppose I am writing down. Here I can pass out the arguments. Sorry, parameter. Okay, here when I am defining it is the parameters. Okay, whenever I am calling it and giving some specific value, I am giving some specific value. Okay, 5 or 8, suppose I'm getting this is known as my arguments. Okay, when I'm defining it, okay, I have to write down like this is integer a and integer b. This is known as the parameter, this is known as the arguments. When I am defining, that is the parameter. When I am calling, it is known as the argument. Okay, so the parameters are specified after the function name inside the parenthesis. Okay, you can add as many parameters as you want, just separate them with a comma. Okay, you can see this thing. When a parameter is passed to a function, it is called an argument. Okay, so here I have to write down, if I want to write down clear, more clear with this. Suppose integer, okay, integer, and here suppose I want to add, that is my function name. Here I will accept integer a comma integer b, okay, clear, and then I will create integer c. So c is equal to a plus b, and then return c. Okay, that is my function is written. That is for the addition of function. So this is known as my parameters. When I will call this thing, suppose I am calling it known as add instead of function name, I'm writing down add, okay, and that is how it is called. So 5 and 8, two things are passed. So the value of this is going to be 13, okay, because it will give me the c, that is a plus b, that is 5 plus 8, clear. So these 5 and 8 are known as arguments, okay, and this integer a and integer b are known as parameter, okay. Let's see one more example on this part. Okay, so this is one example of parameters and arguments in function. As you can see, void, that is the written type of function. My function, that is the name of function. String fname integer age. Okay, string fname, that means fname should be string, that is the collection of letters, and integer age should be an integer. Okay, then what I will do, I will give the output that the fname is this much years old. Okay, fname means here whatever parameter is passed, here another parameter is passed. Now in teacher main, I have called this function 3 times with 3 different arguments. This is parameters, this is arguments, okay. So my function Rohan 50. Now this will go over this part f name, okay. Now the output is going to be f name, that is Rohan, then is static, then age is passed as 15. So Rohan is 15 then years old. That is how it is executed. Similarly, Jay and 16. So Jay is 16 years old. Aisha is 18 years old. So you can see the difference. This is known as the parameters, and these are different arguments. Okay. So that is the difference between the parameters and arguments. Hope it is clear with you all. Okay. That's it for today's lecture. I hope everything is clear with you. Okay, we will study furthermore on on more topics in detail in our upcoming lectures. Till then, keep practicing and keep creating the C++ programs.